ain't gonna lie, y'all boys. That new season of Invincible is fire. Episode 2 in particular, oh my goodness, I ain't never been more hyped off of animation since goddamn Naruto Uzumaki. Now I know y'all want that Uzumaki, that Unhinged, that Naruto. It's coming. I'ma do like 3 episodes back to back to back. But for right now, bruh, we gotta mess with the new and improved Invincible. They going crazy. Let me get my green screen up. I forgot I had it. Y'all wasn't looking at my booty cheeks, right? Y'all let me know if y'all messing with the new format, but hey, we got episode 1 through 3 breakdown by heavy spoilers.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host, Paul, and this video...
Now look here, Paul, before you get into whatever you gotta say, let me just say what's on my mind real quick. I ain't had to say, I just wanted to interrupt you.
Yo, we're breaking down in... I am so glad to be back and talking about the series, and Season 3 has a lot to look forward to. I read through the comics about once a year, and if you think things have been rough so far, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, I got my subtitles on.
Season 3 has a ton of things...
And shit distracting. Oh yeah, old girl brother came out of nowhere and tried to blitz this nigga Rex for no reason. Like, that was so uncalled for.
That tied to the
you
books.
killed my sister,
this video,
nigga.
we'll be breaking it all
no,
down.
I didn't
usual
actually.
With Amazon, we also have a 3-episode premiere, so there's a hell of a lot to talk about. Now, episode 1
this premiere was fire.
Contains the plot points from issues 46 and 48. However, we also get some additional moments from issues 40.
Did y'all read the Invincible comics? I have not read them. I don't want to read them. I want to see this whole shit animated, but I already know what happens because I've been spoiled and all that foolishness.
So 49. Now we begin with Mark taking on the Giant. Having featured in the series before, he's now making his return from a moment that feels like it's loosely pulled from issue 57. This is the second encounter with the character, but there's a big difference. There Mark was teamed up with the astounding Wolfman.
See, I don't even know who that is.
Happens with him, as
he doesn't exist in the
show, but Mark easily handles it on his own. You might also notice that his costume's different as well. The blue and black appears further in the episodes.
Let me know what y'all feeling. Damn, this gonna be a long video. This video 43 minutes based on how I react. This probably gonna get done. We looking at an hour 15. Probably an hour 40 of raw footage. Look here, man. I like to talk, bro. What you came here for? If you don't want to hear me out. But nah, I got distracted again. The blue and black is the coldest suit. I don't care what nobody says. It's like inverse Spider-Man. It's tough.
Yeah, tying these stories together, it's just nice as a reader. Now, and another big difference, we also see Cecil and the gang are actually trying to help. Nice as a reader. Now, and another big difference...
Why she look like Mark Mama? Did they run out of designs?
We also see Cecil and the gang are actually trying to help the Giant. This is a changer from the work, as he was
it's Cecil K this season as well. It's always been Cecil K. I ain't really like the dude.
The Giant's actually an 8-year-old
now I got a reason to not like him.
His grandmother accidentally sent him to another dimension while trying to make herbal medicine for her cat. It happens a lot, to be fair.
I beg your pardon?
While trying to make herbal medicine for her.
Why did she send him to a different dimension?
Accidentally sent him to another dimension while trying to make herbal medicine for her cat.
Accident. Okay.
It happens a lot, to be fair, and he was then cursed and then turned into this gargantuan beast that we see in the series. Mark is clearly working with Cecil to help Giant go through this, but throughout the 3 episodes, we see how their relationship's strained.
Nah, this new and improved Mark is gonna be a problem. I like the way they doing his character in this series. He went from a simple, sweet young man, don't know too much about the world, grew up very sheltered from outside forces, to a kind of stoic, hardened hero. Like, he still got his innocence and his kind-heartedness, but he not gonna hesitate to kill niggas no more. That's over with. He learned his lesson.
Talk about this later in the video, but I feel that will be the big focus of this season. Season 1 was about Mark discovering his dad wasn't what he seemed to be, and then Season 2 was about the pair reconciling. I feel like Season 3 will follow a similar arc, but this time do with Cecil.
Season 2 was forgettable.
Always
I'm not gonna
operates
hold
in
you.
shades of grey, and all the characters
it was important.
making
that end fight with Angstrom. That was essential. I gotta stop pausing. We ain't gonna never make it through the video.
At the moment though, Mark's trying to train to get ready for the threats he's gonna have to face. Now, if you've got something big you need to face, then check out our sponsors at Biotics.
I beg your pardon?
This feels an absolute out and in this best.
Come on, bro. No free promo. You know the rules.
100%. Now, in order for Mark to get ready for what's coming, we see him being put through his paces. This includes him lifting up an iceberg, which feels riffing off Superman Returns. He also withstands heat and travels to the moon. These are all new scenes for the show, but what isn't is the moment that comes from issue 46. This involves Mark doing a bench press and pushing apart two gigantic magnets. In the book, Cecil talks directly to Mark about the Viltrumite threat, but here, he and Donald are off to the side. They tease that something worse is coming, and without any
Mark old
spoilers,
suit is already iconic, but this blue and black just do something to a young boy.
Repositioning of the
it just make him more savage. It's like Spider-Man Black Suit. I keep comparing him to Spider-Man.
Cecil's been working with villains, which you could...
I know I'm talking all over this nigga. I keep comparing him to Spider-Man because, I mean, he got all the characteristics. He's a great hero. When you're a great hero, of course you get compared to the GOAT.
He is being teased by Giant. Beyond this, though, we have D.A. Sinclair and also Darkwing. Now we then see as Rex.
I don't remember what Darkwing did last season.
Issues with his new hand. There's a bit of banter back and forth, and we learn that
y'all remind me
or someone
in the comment section, please.
Are trying to steal a Declaration of Independence. They head out there and we see a mysterious new figure for the show who's clearly a spy.
Like of all things,
the Declaration like this, though, as it just sets up a couple of curveballs for readers. I did think this might be attached to the person that we see at the end of episode 3.
100% he is.
Don't think it is though. And yeah, let me know below if you have any theories on what's happening.
He had the same technology.
Right back into the stuff from the source material though, as we then go to the thieves. Pulled directly from the comics, we even get Rex and Mark going back and forth over him asking out his ex. Most people would explode, but Rex is really chill about him.
Bruh, ain't no time for jokes, bro. Tell me what happened.
Who is in
I mean, I already know what happened, but I'm letting y'all know what happened.
Arrives on the scene. We've had him teased throughout the seasons, with him initially.
Oh, he was already in jail. Oh, so this nigga's dead ass crazy. Okay, bet. I don't even remember this.
Appearing in the same prison as the Maulers. Paul is, of course, Duplicate's brother, and to his knowledge, Rex was behind her death. However, we build off the back of the reveal last time that the rumors of her death have been greatly exaggerated. Issue 46 opened with the Immortal out in the wilderness, having retired from the superhero life. Death, it's in this that we then got the reveal that she was actually in fact alive. Turned out that though the Kate who was thought to be the original was labeled 1, there was actually a 0. This was something Paul instructed her to do, but he never knew whether she actually went through with it. What she helps to do, though, is pull the Immortal out his slump and stop him from just sitting around getting immortal drunk. Looking at the Guardian's
tablet, Immortal is the weakest hero in this franchise. I'm gonna keep it a bean. Bro, how you been here so long and still can't fight? That don't even make no damn sense. I've never seen this nigga win a fight. I'm gonna keep it 100% honest. When did Immortal win a fight? And don't send me no bullshit clip, because I'm not watching that.
Immortal actually has a really cool tie-in with the thieves who we see exiting the scene. If their ride looks a bit futuristic,
like he's trash.
The guys can travel time.
And who are these niggas?
Declaration of Independence is important to pay attention to as well, as there's a reason why they've came to grab it.
Wait, that was important?
All the stuff with the fight with the multiples
I forgot about that already.
Identical to the comics. This includes them swarming Rex and Mark having to bust up the copies. They really take it to the extreme in the show, and they have Mark rip through them one by one.
No, Mark was not, but that's what I mean. He not hesitating to pull that trigger no more. You get in his way, you nigga, you dead.
It really throws you into the action, and it's just messed up. Now, I think this was done to highlight how much Mark has the potential to become his father in order to combat
I want to see Mark snap for real. He snapped a little bit.
Whether that's down to the training, the action, but I want to see him snap. Faced, it's all adding towards this. Kate and Immortal then come down from the sky in a moment that's ripped right out of the comics. It's a big surprise, but a welcome one. Like Immortal, Kate wanted to get away for a while, but with great power comes great responsibility. Finally getting his finger to work, Rex then goes off on them, including Paul. Rex
Rex ain't deserved
it. He
got jumped
overall, it was a great way to have this big reunion. Big family reunion, we'll call it.
Niggas got beat the fuck up because you want to take a vacation.
I do wonder if they're setting things up with him working with Cecil. In both the show and comic, he smashed Paul like the like button, like you should smash the like button.
I like that. I like that. Smash that like button. You heard the man.
I think bringing multiple in just makes sense, and it would make Mark even more mad as he really feels betrayed by the end of the episode. Anyway, from here we cut across to Oliver, finally developing his powers. They
Ollie.
did this a bit earlier in the
I'm gonna let y'all know right now. If you ain't watched this shit, I'm about to get real spoily. This nigga Oliver's a piece of shit. Alright, I know that's somebody's favorite character. That shit is probably your favorite character. I don't like this little nigga. He too damn rebellious. He bad. He act just like his daddy, and he don't listen for shit. Just cause you a Superboy don't mean you invincible, nigga. I'm invincible. Listen to your elders. If I spank your little ass. If I say sit back and watch and observe, you sit back and watch and observe. Imagine you had superpowers and you got a nigga actually trying to teach you how to use your powers, and you gonna sit there and disrespect him by not following orders? Nigga, I punch planets in half. I will beat your little ass. But I'm not gonna sit here in front like bro ain't strong. He's strong as hell. Oliver's strong as a bitch. For a 10-year-old? Oh nah, this nigga will do you the worst way. But I'm ranting. Let's get back to the video.
comics. That happened in issue 42 and was basically the cliffhanger of the comics. However, they do some changes. The latest scene with him talking to Debbie didn't happen in the work. However, I do like
how he loved his mama. That boy loves his mama.
Exists within Oliver. Beyond that, he's also not human.
He don't care about nobody else, but he loves his mama.
Loyalty to Earth. That's something they play with throughout, and they touched upon it with him during season 2. I do wonder if they're really going to expand on that and really play up how they wrestle with him. Potentially Cecil might even see Ollie as a threat because he's part of the same army that they're trying to fight, which I love. And
she was
that
bad.
really
I forgot her name.
And Kate are now engaged. Shrinking Ray.
Man, I'm done being apologetic, bro. This is the real me.
Moment. Now they kind of play up that she and Rex might like each other, which is another big addition. In the comics, Ray was a dude, but beyond that, he never returned.
Go ahead, Rex.
Eaten by Komodo Dragon in Invincible issue 40. However,
Ray fire.
Opens up some new avenues. Either way, the family's back, and they're fast and furious, and they're also What you talking about, Willis? However, the piece is disturbed by strange things happening underground.
And you know what?
This sets up the finale.
They literally warned Cecil, and he ignored it.
We'll talk about that more in just a bit, but we then jump over.
Nigga, this your job.
This comes from issue 48, which even takes place at the bowling alley.
However, you willing to crash on Mark, but when your fucking assistant is telling you, there's radars, tremors popping up, and you don't fucking pay attention, then when all the goddamn superheroes get kidnapped, you gonna sit there and act like you surprised. You stupid bitch, we told you.
In the comics, Rick doesn't know that Mark is invincible.
I don't like
because
Cecil.
Of this. They
I
don't
really
talk
don't
about
like that
Eve,
nigga.
And Mark definitely doesn't fly them home. Rick also freaks out about what happened with Sinclair and how much this has changed him as a person. In the comics, we get flashbacks to the experiments. His heart's playing up. Because of this, I wonder if Sinclair will help to fix it and somewhat try and redeem what happened. That could allow Mark to see maybe he isn't.
Are they brainwashing these niggas, or are they actually
like
turning a new leaf? I don't know.
Work with the bad guys if they want to win. Either way, we then jump across to Mark out in Africa. This all goes down in issue 48, but they all.
Maybe it's the art style. Eve look crazy right here. What? This how she moving?
How the pair reconnect. Here Mark visits Eve's home, whereas there she's helping out the locals. Eve has been building up her powers and even studying architecture. In the comics and show, she of course helped build some houses in rundown areas, but there was a bit of a problem. Due to not understanding infrastructure, they ended up collapsing. So Eve's doing this now, and they alter things quite a bit beyond this and kind of compress everything from the comics into just one scene. During Invincible 44, Mark revealed the truth about her future self. This all happened when they were at home, and then
Eve a baddie. What the fuck? I don't even be going for milk. Hold on, let me zoom out just a little bit. I don't need to be that close to y'all.
Yeah, it's more compact and straight to the point, with Mark relaying how he feels. While this is going on, we see Debbie applying flesh tone makeup to Oliver. They're trying to cover him up so they can give him a semblance of a normal life.
Real.
However, with the way things are, that's never really gonna happen. Cecil knocks on the door, and I love how you can see behind him the house across the street is still being worked on.
There's something about Oliver.
This meeting goes
I'm gonna be real. I didn't notice the nigga even changed his skin color back to purple. I just see bro as a regular human. That's how I know I'm not racist for real. I didn't even notice the nigga's skin was changing. Like, bro, if a purple nigga walk in the room, I'm not gonna ask why he purple. I'm just gonna be like, oh, that's a purple nigga.
issue 48 as well. It's pretty much the same, but there it's a bit less tense. They sit in their seats and chill with some coffee, whereas here it's like when Ryan, Airy, and Heavy Spoilers met up.
Damn,
Son of a bitch.
Debbie?
Things get a bit
What's
frosty
up?
before they
Am I
transition
tweaking? They did say they got them foreign animators on staff. I'm starting to believe them. Why everybody looking extra good today?
to that, but Debbie
I just
remains
watched the show.
indifferent.
She did
It
not look
basically
like that.
paints them as not being eye to eye and is such a great way to play it. On the brighter side, Mark and Eve get along really well. Her life's looking up and we learn she's going to college. This
That's
culminates
fire.
with Mark
I
asking
don't really
her
like
out,
school,
whereas
but
Cecil and
university,
Debbie
if you
can't
going
make
to
some
school,
common
university,
ground.
definitely way
She
to go.
basically doesn't want another member of her family who becomes a slave to the government. That was seen in her husband, son Mark, and though Oliver, is not technically related, he is family, and yeah, the same thing.
Y'all want to know why he covered in blood?
Eventually, Eve questions whether Mark's
already
asking
know.
her out for the right reasons.
Nigga,
Her future
crash out.
version likely influenced his decision, and yeah, it's probably going to cause a lot of issues. Speaking of issues, we then see Seismic's escape, which opens up issue 48. There, the character escapes
So I
from his
thought
cell.
Seismic needed the gloves to use his abilities. I thought he can just produce the frequency but can't amplify it. But that nigga was doing some type of mind control. Like, he was wigging out. He shouldn't have not have been that powerful.
And unleashes his forces around the globe. We get an additional scene in the show where we see Rex taking a shower. This then leads to his capture, and we also cut to the GDA. However, whereas the show just has dots on a screen, the comic showed all the heroes being captured. Later on, we watch the heroes trapped in bubbles, which are all original characters for the
Now,
show.
how can
This
they not
includes
break the
Moth
bubble?
Guy, Electric Girl, Hulk Guy, kid in a suit, and so on and so forth.
I
In the
didn't even
comics,
notice
they
those
actually
was
had the
there.
ability to use the official heroes from the Image roster, whereas I believe and stress believe there that they have rights issues that they have to get around in order to bring some of these characters across. It's sort of the same thing that
Oh, Spider-Man. See, I know I made the comparison earlier, but it's Spider-Man. Like, he's the GOAT. They get along swimmingly.
happened with Spider-Man last season, but I imagine it's not as complex. However, characters like Savage Dragon, they'd probably have to get the rights from
Ooh.
the owner or signed off by Image, whereas when it's an internal comic at the company, I think it's easier to just be like,
Wait,
can we use... Whereas
Spawn's
when
in
it's
there?
an internal...
Oh, Invincible got a cool universe. These niggas look diesel. I didn't know Spawn was in there.
comic at
Fire.
the company, I think it's easier to just be like, can we use them in this issue? No bother, mate, and hit the thumbs up while you're there. Later on, when the Worm Thing is killed, the other heroes are all original to the show as well.
Nah, they
Either
were
way,
celebrating
Oliver
with them
overhears
demonic bots. Like, bro, somebody do something about Sinclair. I don't care how smart the nigga is. He can make a bot that can fight an alien. Cool. Nigga think he Lord, what's the nigga name? Dr. Gero. Nigga think he Dr. Gero. Lame man, nigga, goofy ass nigga. Get the fuck out of here.
Missiles to stress call and he ends up sneaking out. He creates a homemade costume, and this is akin to Mark's from episode 1.
That's
Now in issue
crazy.
48, Mark kills a giant
That's something I
worm,
would
but
never
he doesn't get
notice.
stabbed or poisoned.
Unless you
Instead,
rewatch
he
it.
passes out from exhaustion, but I feel this change is important. If Viltrumite's skin's supposed to be impenetrable, but this shows that certain things can pierce it. If you cast your mind back to Nolan's books,
I'm about to
you might
say,
remember
I
the
thought
bit
that's
about
what
Rognar's.
they
These
said. I'm in a group chat with my friends and shit. They talking about Mark got hold. They saying he supposed to be able to beat the monsters. I literally was thinking like, yo, bro.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
Extremely dangerous beasts have razor-sharp teeth and claws which are capable of killing a Viltrumite. Though that was shown in the series, they may be doing certain things beyond that. It could show there's way
No
more
more pauses,
weaknesses,
no more
and
pauses.
they
I
might
just
use
realized
these
I've been
creatures
recording
in the
for 20
future.
minutes.
There's also ones that look like the sandworms from
That's
Dune,
crazy.
and basically it shows how dangerous that Seismic is. He does a thunderclap as well, which sends Eve flying back, and it's possible that this is a reference to the Hulk. In the book,
I mean,
the
it
creature
could be.
gets
I
marked
just
in
think,
his
bro,
jaws,
whole power
and
is
he has
vibration.
to punch it back. However, I feel like having this happen really shows Mark at a low point within. They really need to show like he's not invincible. And though he gets his arse kicked a lot, they need to hammer that home. Because of that, it plays that he's stacked against the odds, and yeah, it just makes him.
My thing is,
more
how can
relatable
nobody
as a
break
hero.
the
What he
bubble?
needs to do though is get a little help from his friends and
that
also his
doesn't make sense to
enemies.
me.
That takes
I
us
thought
to
y'all had
issue 49,
superpowers.
which opens up with Darkwing arriving. He was obviously
Now, what did Darkwing do? I think he about to explain it because I completely forgot what he was doing.
a villain, and in both the book and show, he's
Wasn't
joined by the
Darkwing
Rhiannon Men.
a
Much
grad-
to Mark's surprise, it highlights
Bruh. He didn't even tell me. Hello.
We've had multiple corroborated sightings of Darkwing.
Which is perturbing me, considering that I personally ID'd what was left of his ribcage last year.
So he did die.
You hear them too?
Huh?
Voices.
Okay, I don't even remember this. He was talking crazy. What he was saying? That's the shit. You hear them too? Bro, that's the shit I be saying when I'm trolling. How did he survive though? So I guess you know what? Nolan bashed this nigga brains out. He came back to life on some Ra's al Ghul resurrection, and now he's a bit schizo. But they rehabilitated him. I'm just gonna go with that headcanon. That's probably 100% correct too.
So Cecil's operating in shades of grey and will do what he must to defend the world. Now issue 49 is where Mark confronts Cecil. However, in the comics, this happened while Sinclair was mid-surgery. Coming out covered in blood from his work, it didn't exactly look good for Cease. Now, although you can see why Cecil's having to do this, it is bad as he kept it from Mark. They're supposed to be coming at things transparently and thus building trust. Nolan kept things from Mark in the past and this destroyed their relationship. Now he's seeing the same thing happen with his boss. Secrets are being kept, Cecil's working in the shadows,
granted,
and even
though,
running around with nefarious
Cecil had
characters.
a valid reason
so
to not tell Mark.
It makes him no better than
'Cause,
Nolan, and yeah, great way to play
If
it.
I'm doing
Cecil
some
plays it
nefarious witchcraft, demonic resurrection shit, that's not something I tell my best employee. You take that to the grave.
off that Mark's a killer as well due to what happened with Angstrom Levy. As we learn though, Levy's not dead and they are likely setting up the Invincible War. Now that takes us to the Pentagon.
Not saying I like
which is when
Cecil,
Cecil leads him
but
into
I'm
the
just
White
saying
Room.
if
As
I'ma
we
be
learned earlier
Cecil,
in the
I'ma do it
season,
correct. You gotta
America's
be
water is
militant.
laced with chemicals. One of them makes people blind to
At
a
least he
certain
SOB.
light, which is how they're able to make the room invisible. The main part of the episode then ends with us getting a moment ripped right out the comics. The Rihanna men then swarm him, and we end wondering what's going to happen. That then takes us to the post-credit scene, which comes
Golly,
directly
Alan
from
Head
issue
is
55.
crazy.
It's in this
Is that his
the
name?
hope for escape springs
I
forth.
think
In
that's his
case you
name.
don't remember, Alan gets stronger
Yeah, that's
every
his
time
name.
he's hurt. So the experiments, Goldfinger laser stuff, all that does is
Wait, he got Zenkai boost? I didn't know that's how his powers work. I thought he was just a mutant.
make him more powerful. Eventually, he'll get to the point he's able to rip through the prison like paper. Such a good scene, and I love watching their camaraderie build. As we know, the pair used to fight above the earth before Mark then took over the role. So there is that friendship there, and that then takes us into episode 2, titled
Oh yeah,
A
they
Deal
was
with the
cool with
Devil.
each other.
This devil deals with
Mark
issues
just came in the
50 and
picture after he
51.
got his
It also,
powers.
however, has segments from, at long last,
This
the secret
flashback was
origin
fire.
of Cecil Stedman. Now, if you want a more in-depth look at that, we have a full video dedicated
His
to that issue.
flashback was
The show
fire.
actually
I'm not
fleshes
gonna
out
hold you.
Cecil's history a little more though, and we see him surveilling a market. This then leads him to a store, which is actually a cover. Now this changes things massively.
thing
from
is,
the
he used to be
comics, and
just
then
like
open
Mark.
with
I don't
Brick,
know
who
what
is coming
changed.
to rescue Cecil. How about due to the rights,
Yo,
comic
the way they draw they female characters in the comics compared to the show is night and day. Nigga, they were freaked out. She got all her goodies hanging out, and I'm not complaining.
and they'd open with Britt, who is coming to rescue Cecil. How about due to the rights, the hero's been absent from the show. He was another big creation by Kirkman, who featured in a lot of the run. He also had his own solo series.
What?
And I
He
was surprised
bulletproof?
he didn't feature here. From what I can gather though, using him in the show would give Amazon the TV rights to him. So there is a theory online that Kirkman may hold him back, as he
Oh, that's
could
a
then
different
sell him
character.
separately and get a better deal.
Is it?
Either way, his
I don't know.
absence allows us to really see Cecil in the field. Rather than starting off being rescued, we see firsthand what he's like as an agent.
Now, this
And it's
thing
not
blew me,
good
'cause I thought he
being
was robbing
easily by
that
the
lady.
order of the Freeing Fist. This pair possess superhuman strength. They're also rivals of the Lizard League, which we meet later on. Now, what I love about this in the show is that Cecil gives a code word that tips off his mates. However, on the surface, it seems like he just gave the all clear. It really plays into his duplicity and how he's able to see through other facades.
Now, that was
in the
fire.
comics, they expanded upon him not trusting
All clear. Whole time, bro, just let the let the secret out of bed. Now my niggas coming to run into your shit. That's crazy. That's finesse. That's how you really do it. I got pea brain. I don't really think about secret code using obvious terms. That's how you hide in plain sight.
Nolan, even though he acted as an ally. He was secretly working in the background and doing his own thing. This is a scene we get later on, and we learn how the pair first met.
Yeah, he never trusted Nolan,
sort
but
of what
he
he's
still
been
let that
doing
shit
with
happen.
Mark, and I love this little character beat. In the comics, Britt pulls him away from the gas, though at that point, most of his skin's gone. Britt also has superpowers as a side note, just in case you're wondering. And that's why the people in the show need suits, but they're able to pull Cecil out. However, some of the gas killed the people in the market, and thus he has a scar that he wears as a reminder. The comics and show then cut to a jail in a moment that's ripped right out of the books. The prison's been attacked by the Lizard League, and when his boss has fixed up the freeing fist. Though he kills him as an act of retribution, we of course know how this mirrors Mark's actions. At this moment, Cecil's very much like Mark and wanting to do good by using good people. Cecil says he doesn't work with criminals and ends up gunning them down. Him and his boss is of course also a mirror of him and Mark, as right now he's questioning his actions. Now in the comics, the Guardians arrive and they ask what he's done.
Hold up, this is completely unrelated. Like, this actually got nothing to do with the video, but like, bro, what? You lost your influence, you're not God, your music is bad, your fashion sense is childish and garbage now. Kid Cudi is more influential. Boy, he talking bullshit. Vulture is flop. Kim Kardashian doesn't want you to come back after you sang for her. No. I don't know what provoked this, but I do know Ron is Jewish. And y'all know how Kanye get. So, he may have took offense to that. Yeah, the Jews wrote Martin Luther King's speech, Happy Black History Month. Bro, I gotta make a video about this. Kanye West is losing his fucking mind. Hold up, bro. Let me screenshot these tweets.
However, in this show they're absent, and I'm guessing that he hasn't formed the group yet. The comics just cut to Cecil in jail, which is when his boss says his
like, bro has been
tweeting
tweeting for 30 minutes. No, I'm sorry. One more pause, and I'm a try to lock in. Bro's been tweeting for over an hour. Kanye, relax.
Running the prison. It highlights how he's able to bring superpowered people together, and this is why his country needs him. However, it's also meant he's got no
Cecil, we don't need
working
you,
in the
but
dark,
you do a good
and
job.
thus he's perfect for the GDA.
You just a
Cecil
slimy
can bring
dirt
order to the chaos,
nigga.
and his boss has basically changed his perspective. Now he's ready to go out and do the wrong things for the right reasons. I love the way it's handled in the show, and it feels far more fleshed out than how it is in the comics. I even wonder if it's showing us the lessons that Cecil intends to install with Mark. Turning him into a villain that makes him work with villains might make him realize, I need to work with villains. Anyway, from here we jump back to the White Room, and that takes us to issue 50. The comics had their interaction much more intense, with Cecil immediately ordering the Reanimen to attack. Due to what happened with Levy, he doesn't want to take any chances. He thinks Mark has the potential to kill, and thus throws everything he has at him.
He got more than the potential. He got the heart now. Mar is not... Who is Mar? Mark is not no little boy.
However, in the show, the pair talk it out, and it's way more like trying to get him to see things from his point of view. I love how in the show, Mark
you gonna
also
beat
has
sense
the
into
mark
him?
on
That
his
shit
chest,
never
and it
works.
highlights that he can be beaten. In the comics, Mark then threatens to blow the whistle. Cecil, however, says it's pointless. His reach and influence are too big, and he could declare Mark an enemy of the planet. In the comics, Cecil doesn't give him the opportunity to even stand down.
Crazy.
He just tells him to give up. Like, it's a pretty bad betrayal. This even gets to the point in the comics where Mark offers to stay if he fires Sinclair and Darkwing. Cecil then basically says F you and unleashes a device in his ear. In the show though, I love how he reveals the rest of the Reanimen. The red wall, the Cyclops surrounding him,
bro, this scene was
fire
fire.
with it. They do a red background in the comics, but there it's mainly just one panel that shows Mark's anger. So it's great they brought it across more and actually made it part of the environment. Now Cecil then
That's what I be
sets off the
saying, bro.
device.
What I really want to do, I want to watch all the show and then compare the comics.
In the show, he gives him the option to go home, whereas the comics have him just setting it off. Turns out that he planted an inner earpiece at the hospital when he had Mark at his mercy. In the comics, we then get one of my favorite double pages, which is where we see Mark race across the world. Cecil teleports after him the entire way.
The comics is turning. I'm about to read them.
Cecil doesn't keep triggering Mark with the noise because he can't catch up to him. He's also afraid of where he could land and also the damage he could cause. Knowing he asked to expose Cecil's plan, Mark then goes straight to the Guardians. In the book, Cecil lies and says the Guardians can't trust Mark and that they'll be fired if they don't bring him in. Here though, Mark pleads to them due to Cecil working with the villains. In the comics, he just attacks the Guardians first, and this causes the team to rally behind Mark. He also freaks out and says Invincible's spreading like a virus. He's infecting the team and giving...
Nah, comics don't do it justice. The way them niggas turned on Caesar, they're like, nigga, fuck you. Bro, that joke was turned, bro. Bro, that joke was turned, bro. They ain't waste no time.
He his own voice and how he stood up.
They saw he was slimy and got rid of him.
In the show, though, he tries to defuse the situation, whereas in the comics, he doesn't really care. Now, in the comics, though they don't get as violent, Cecil doesn't really appreciate them. He actually says the team's a dime a dozen. If you cast your mind back to season 1, you might remember they had that big recruitment program. That's something we never got in the comics, but there they had way more heroes. Still though, we know they're replaceable. So Mark has left, everything he owns in a box, Mark has left. Dear me. The comics also have the big Reanimen fight, but they add in a scene with the Ace and Claire. There, Cecil teleports out to the scientist and tells them to shut it down. This doesn't happen in the show, and thus Mark just wails on their bodies. Now, Sinclair is voiced by Ezra Miller, and I did wonder if them constantly cutting the scenes with the character was due to them distancing
That's probably why. I didn't know that. This nigga was crazy.
Themselves from the actor. Again, I can't find any official statement on it, but
he kind of looked like
it's
him.
just
something
that crossed my mind as it's, it's kind of difficult to not think like, why isn't this character here? Is it a legal reason? And kind of go down that path. Now in the book and show, we then get a scene where Mark threatens Cecil. In the comics, Cecil even opens up a teleport to leave, but Mark slams him against the wall like the subscribe button. Doesn't really work that, and in both he makes it clear to never go near his family again.
This scene got me so hyped. He murked all them robots. Said, nigga, if you ever come near my family, I'ma fucking kill your bitch ass. I said, that's my hero. That's what we need. You gotta make the hard decision to really murder a nigga in cold blood. Only when you got to, though. Don't just do it just cause. But if a nigga play with you, or play with your fucking kids, or play with your mama, or play with your brother, you put his ass in the grave. That's what the fuck I'm talking about.
It's going to cause, obviously, a bit of tension with Oliver.
Mind you, I'm a pacifist.
Obviously, Cecil wants him to be part of the team, or he's going to see him as an enemy.
This is for all
literally left a mark.
Entertainment purposes.
What it does is leave the Guardians unsure of where they stand. I love the final shot where we get a bird's eye
crazy.
view.
Look what he did. Look, this is Mark. The Guardians got the niggas on the outskirts. Mark did all this right here. Put them niggas in the ground. Stop playing with them.
See the Reanimen laid out on the floor. It riffs off the end of episode 1 where the dead Guardians lay after the attack by Nolan. There the team was torn apart, whereas here they sort of are as well. In both, the future of the group was uncertain, and I love the way they play up this moment. We also get the extra emphasis that Cecil needs to stay away from Oliver. That's a point that's only in the comics, and here they play it differently. They do cut to Debbie and Oliver after this, so yeah, it's probably the better way to handle it. You don't really need to hammer it home, and instead can just have it play out cohesively. Another detail I love as Mark walks away is that his chest looks slightly healed now. There is still a mark there, but the wound isn't as bad as it was before. So it kind of gives an insight to his healing factor and how much quicker it's getting. Now in the comics, we then have Debbie, Oliver and Eve talking about the attack. We also have Oliver asking Mark why he doesn't just kill Cecil. This isn't in the work, and
no. That was Oliver's first sign of being a real deal slime. Oliver's slime too. Don't get it confused. He's very slime.
Nicely highlights Oliver's point of view regarding taking lives. Seeing his brother betrayed like this, it's likely going to put him at loggerheads with humanity. I'd love to see that explored more in the show.
If you see me looking down, just know I'm taking screenshots of Kanye West. I gotta get that video out. This nigga's wildin'.
A really cool direction. In the comics, we also don't see the Guardians split up. Instead, Mark just tells Eve about it in the same scene. However, I think it builds really well off the scene from before, in which they come together like a family. It nicely takes things to the opposite ends and adds a lot of dynamics to the show. These dynamics are also reflected in Eve and Mark. The two sit outside the house and they go through their feelings. This is split in the show, whereas in the comics, it all just goes down at the house. It includes Mark wrestling with the guilt over Angstrom and how he's realized that Cecil might have a point. Sometimes, you know, even though people are your enemies, you sometimes have to work with them. The X-Men work with Magneto and X2.
Now look, I'm all for putting aside shit for the greater good of the world and the universe and peace and prosperity. But we gotta keep it a being here. This nigga Sinclair tortured, kidnapped, dissected, and rebuilt innocent civilians. You can't have a nigga like that on your team. I'm not the one to make the rules. I know he on his Dr. Gero time and he make the super strongest, the best android cyborg reanimation ever. But bro, morals, they're important.
Heavy spoilers work with Screen Crush, and my mate has a dog and a cat, so it can happen. Mark's looking to the future though and seeing how he needs to be better, and this is also mirrored in Eve. She's shocked her future version never got over Mark, but love, you know love's complicated. Mark even dated Amber for a while, but during this his heart still yearned for Eve. In the book, the pair then kiss at the house, which Oliver sees and then says gross to. In the show though, she flies away, and we then cut to the Guardians. It's basically the old arguing with the young, and yeah, it's something we see a lot in society. There's people who think the hero should follow orders, while others think it shouldn't get in the way of your morals. It's something that superheroes have tackled before.
Who y'all thought was right in Civil War?
Really delving into it. And
I forgot what team Iron Man was on, but shit, I'm with Iron Man. I'm biased. I don't know if he was in the right or wrong. I think Cap was in the right, but Iron Man did it with more swag and more aura, so.
Able to put their differences to the side, some decide to leave the team. Just as the Guardians got back together, they're now falling apart. It's over. Such a good scene though, and I love how they really flesh out the Guardians. Though they got explored in the books, it feels like the next level up here. You really get to see their emotions, and they become three-dimensional characters. Not saying the books didn't do that, but the show just takes it to the next step. We also get that reflected in William and Rick. In the work, Mark doesn't tell them about Sinclair, as it'll just cause trauma for the latter. Here though, he's open and honest, and we see how much Rick has to deal with him not facing any consequences. Rick actually says it's better to know, and I did wonder if that was Kirkman basically speaking to the audience and saying that he wished he had this scene in the first place. In addition to this, we also get a scene with Robot and Monster Girl. Black Samson knows there's some...
I know something about Robot that I don't want to spoil to y'all boys, but just keep an eye on him. It's a lot of niggas in this show that gotta be observed properly to understand their true morals.
Beyond,
because why did he clone Rex out of all people? That's kind of mad weird.
Him just going for the girl though. Robot is aware of how much he'll need Mark at some point. Now in case I haven't really hammered it home, the comics flip the order of Cecil's origin. I think having it here first though has been done for a reason. Been talking to TJ Pistilli.
Nah, it made way more sense. That's why he became the man he is.
Helping us research and get all the images from the comics, so like shoutouts to him. Because it's such a big job flipping back and forth throughout all those graphic novels trying to get them. He's basically how he got this video out so fast though. Yeah, I got this shit out. And he said a point that really resonated with me. TJ thought they'd done it deliberately to show that Mark's more the aggressor. This is a flip on the comics in which he's kind of always on
Mark's had to press that nigga because he was doing some weird shit, bro. If you sit there and allow weird niggas just because they in a position of power to do weird shit, you're part of the problem. My nigga, call everything you see out. I'm not keeping my mouth closed. Fuck you mean you using demon robots? Fuck you mean Sinclair still work with you? Fuck you mean fake ass Batman back? I don't even know what he did, but I know he in the wrong.
Perfect, and he makes mistakes down the line. Eventually, as I'm sure you can guess, he questions his own moral compass. I don't think that's a spoiler, and obviously they're laying the groundwork for that here. However, having the show have Cecil go through that first kinda sets up the path he's gonna go on, so it's a really nice touch. Now while this is going on, we also get a play on the scene from Invincible 45 that had Paul and Debbie stay at dinner. What they do though is expand on things with Paul, and he also mentions his sister's kid. This is brand new for the series and might introduce some someone new. I do wonder if that's a friend Oliver could have, which might cause issues. Obviously, he ages at a faster rate, so he'd have to basically lose a friend.
I forgot, bro, was a baby
it would
3
reflect
months
how
ago.
Mark
That's
couldn't really be
insane.
with Amber due to his life as a hero. Nolan couldn't really be with Debbie because of his allegiances to Viltrum, and I think it would be a great way to expand on it. Now, speaking of differences, Eve also doesn't go to the school. Instead, she just rejoins the teen team. We don't get them leaving the Guardians, and instead, she just shows up at the base in issue 51. A little detail I loved comes when the girl next to Eve is looking for a pen. Eve hands one over, and due to the pink colour, she possibly could have made it herself. Speaking of issue 51,
I like Eve Powers. She got one of the most unique sets.
She
can just create as long as she know the anatomy.
Apologizing, hey, let the guy come in and prove he's a good mate. I believe in second chances.
Bro, take your mask off when you speak to me, bro. I don't trust you.
Also sort of operates in them as well. Does that metaphor work? What I mean by that is that the remaining Guardians understand that you have to make compromises. Whereas Mark refuses to do that, these older characters have seen enough of the world to understand it better. In the comics, they're even more open to him joining.
You know why I like Mark? Because he don't believe in all the politics, bro. He believe in his own strength. If he can't do it with his own 2 hands, he not taking no demonic help. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, he a real deal hero. He willing to die about this shit. These niggas just want to win. Mark want to die about this shit. You know, it's a difference in mentality.
As they saw what he did against Seismic. Yeah, he's doing a mea culpa, but yeah, the guy gets welcomed in.
Granted, is it more stupid and idiotic and not logical at all? Of course, it's fueled by emotions and strength. But what do you think? What do you think we fighting for, my nigga? If I can't fight for my morals, why am I fighting in the first place?
Some say he's based on Batman. Even Donald wrestles with what Cecil's doing, though, but Cecil explains this is just how it works.
How long
Flashing
is it?
back
48
to his
minutes.
Starting as the GDA leader, we see as he first meets Nolan. This again comes from
somehow I don't talk longer than the video.
It's pretty much where we end things. In the comic, Nolan just fought a giant dragon thing, which sort of plays off the dinner.
Hey, I like this. It showed a little bit of
Nolan arrives on the planet and then paints himself out as a hero. Thus, he'd gain our trust and
like
be
this
able
keep
to
it
weaken
showing
our
chat.
defenses. Great seeing him in action, even if it's a flashback, and we see more of his hard-edged personality. Earth softens him up, but for now, he's got that Viltrumite temper. Cecil easily sees through the lies, though, and decides to keep an eye on the character. I love how it paints him out
they
as
turned the trained warrior into
as
a
in the
father.
comics, Kirkman's
Earth is
admitted
crazy.
they didn't have the hindsight. Does explain, though, why he had such a strong focus on him early on in the Season 1 investigation. It ends episode 2, which was titled Deal with the Devil. You could see that with Cecil in his boss, or even Cecil in Darkwing. It could also go to Cecil and Nolan,
Cecil
and yeah,
definitely
lots of characters
Satan
that title reflects. Again, it just
properly.
works really well, which is when we go to the credit scene
I
and
can't
see
trust
even
bro
Mark
at
on
all.
the bridge. Mark says
He on
that
that
what he
freak
feels
timing.
is real, and after the pair finally kiss, we go to episode 3. This is easily
Yes,
the
sir.
most spread
Secured
out
that
of the
bit.
3, with it containing moments from over 5 issues. Those are 47, 51, 52, and 53, with us also getting some moments
Dang,
from
5
56.
issues in one
We
episode
begin
is
with a
crazy.
moment from issue 47, though, and
Is that
watch
good
Tether
pacing? I
Tyrant
hope so.
Magnamania.
Oh, this cold open was fire. This explained the villain lifestyle perfectly. The most average villain. Like, bro, we don't want to be doing this shit, but nigga, I got bills to pay, families to feed. Niggas gonna have to run that paper. They gonna pay the consequences. It go for me too, cause them superheroes definitely gonna beat my ass. But bro, I gotta get my money. This shit ain't no game.
The pair aren't dating in the comics though, and instead they just live together. In the books, they end up going back to crime because they realize that life sucks without it. They can't afford even simple things like groceries, and thus decide to rob a bank. Here though, you really get that fleshed out, and even little human moments when Tether Tyrant sees a kid scared of him. This then transitions to their home, and yeah, difficult not crying, mate, watching this. Just so sad. I didn't cry though.
This
Yeah,
shit real, bro.
Fucking chump.
The real
Played without
the reality
dialogue,
of
though.
their
We just have the
situation,
music
bro.
setting the tone. We see their
They
struggles.
live in New York,
even when
bro.
they
The
go
rent like
legit, we get more of
$2,500
the pair's life.
just
Like,
for
this
a one
entire
bedroom.
segment could stand on its own and basically explain the
Two
origin of a
bedroom,
supervillain.
this shit
Makes them
8,000.
understandable and way more relatable characters. Whereas in the show, they were always just kind of like side villains used to elevate the heroes. Like even this fight in the comics, it's just to give Invincible and Oliver an action scene. But I love this, and eventually they're evicted and pulled back into the life. As the plan rots away, we see them begging
go
for
watch
money,
episode,
even though
what
they
was
have
this,
these
3?
incredible incredible
Go watch
abilities.
episode
Thus,
3,
when
bro.
the
This
bank
shit was fire.
reopens, they storm it again and finally get their
That
hands on the
opening
cash.
alone was
However,
lit.
we then get into the arrival of the true villain, which is Invincible, mate. Make the logo go red. Now, they also alter things with Oliver. In the book, he's watching the fight and looking down from a building above. This then collapses, and thus he's forced into the fight. He also doesn't wear the homemade suit that we see him donning
Oliver
here.
is
His arc
bad
then
legit,
ties into
bro.
the title of the entry, which is, "You want a real costume, right?" Now, the I'm helping comes straight from the comics.
Like,
Now,
why is he
though
so
the I'm
bad?
helping bit comes straight from the comics, there are
I
other
would be the
changes they add
I'm
in.
talking like I wouldn't be the same way if I had got superpowers at like 9 years old. What are you, nigga? School rules? Are you crazy? I'm about to go fight crime. Are you dumb, nigga?
Heather Tyrant refusing to hurt a kid, and I love how throughout this segment they felt constant shame, guilt and sorrow seeing how they put kids in danger. Now that danger's also reflected in Mark and Oliver. I'm sure
that
a lot
mean
of
they
you
got a
watching
heart,
this
bro.
have kids or younger siblings, or just
This is
someone that's
real.
young trying to
And
help
Mark
out
didn't
how
care
they
about
can.
none of
For
that,
me,
though. He
it's my kids
flatlined
constantly
them
putting
boys.
away all the shopping, but like they
But
nearly
still, I
pull out
mean-
all the contents of the fridge out onto themselves. They're of course just trying to
Tough.
help, but yeah, with the life Mark leads, you could understand why he doesn't want his brother doing this. Asking him to stop isn't realistic though, and thus it's better to try and train him. So the dynamics of the show flip. Just like how season 1 had Nolan teaching Mark, we now have Mark teaching his brother. We also get brand new scenes of Eve at the school and see her running into Amber. This never happened in
That
the
scene was
book,
funny.
and
As
it
soon as
looks like
Amber
they're
pulled
gonna
up,
keep
Shotty
her
just
around
dipped.
longer. She does still have a couple of extra
Damn!
stories, but on the whole, she isn't
What
around
the hell
that
happened
much,
to
in the
you?
work at least. So it looks like they're adding in more stuff, and yeah, I think it's gonna be
Amber
interesting
was
to see
getting
where it
fucked
goes.
up in the
Amber
comics.
actually seems happy for Eve and Mark, whereas there's a couple of issues in the comics. Amber worried Mark liked her a lot in their relationship, and this kind of just confirmed it. It's nice to see Amber's mature though, and we learn that she's dating somebody else too. This
Nah, she too cool for me. Let me find out my nigga was fucking with you the whole time. Smoke. Instant.
is a guy called Kyle, who's going to be a big part of her story. If you know, you know, but yeah, Mark has to step further towards using his powers in, let's say, ways outside the law, but they are very, very justifiable
Bro,
ways.
Blue and Black
if you read
Mark
the
is a
book,
whole
then
different
you know
character.
exactly
Y'all
what
don't
I
even
mean.
know
Now,
the
the scene
real.
of the team moving in
He
kind of
moving
builds off the
malicious.
back of the one we discussed before. Shrinking Ray's also there as well now, so it adds in an extra dynamic. Sexplode. It really feels like a fresh start though, and reminds them of why
I'm really
they fought
surprised
the good
he
fight.
didn't crack.
It used to be they had a clear idea
It
of
seemed like it was leading up to that. Like, they was getting mad. Ah, welcome to my room. Would you like to lay in my bed? Take your shoes off. Why are your pants still on? Like, bro was getting real. He was getting real. You know what I'm saying? I felt it. I felt the waves coming in. The vibes was there.
who the bad guys were, but now the lines are blurred. Rex also talks about being sold by his parents. This actually comes from his comic origin issue where we see this playing out. I did wonder if we'd get that as a special, much in the same way we got one for Adam Eve. However, I don't
ain't
know if
even
they're
watched
still
that.
doing them, as it seems like they've sped up the release schedule. I love how Robot also talks about how he hasn't actually been there before, and this is due to his real body being kept
Oh my
elsewhere.
God.
Amanda
Yeah,
also
I
comes
ain't gonna lie,
across
I would
something
make
in
a
his
clone
box
too,
which is
but
kept
goodness
hush hush.
gracious.
He's doing it for her though, and basically trying to change her life for the better, and we'll discover what that is down the line. Now, after the villainous duo from the start had dropped off at the prison, we see Multiple back at the cell. However, here
Yo.
he's just by
This nigga's so irrelevant. I missed him in both scenes. I literally just watched this less than an hour ago. I didn't notice he was in that jail cell.
himself, you know. In the other scenes, he was
Like,
using his
how?
power to duplicate, so I do wonder if this is down to remorse. He's keeping to himself and might now be questioning his actions. Multiple's capture has caused a lot of problems with the crime lords though, and we then join Lou and Titan. Feels like we haven't seen Titan for ages, and I was so glad to see him back in the show. In the comics, the pair don't meet here, and
He don't
instead
do
he
too
just
much,
sends
but
Titan
I
orders.
guess.
This makes him realize he's still got a part of the ladder to climb, and there's rules and regulations. Taking Machine Head's spots, now taking his obligations, and now he has to do what's expected. Lashing
Like, I
out
just
at
don't like his
Isotope,
powers.
It's clear this Kingpin position isn't all it's cracked up to be. The conversations
Maybe
expanded upon
turning
here,
to
whereas in the
multiple
comics,
substances
Titan just
like
lashes out at
Kevin
him.
11,
Again,
but
I
he
love
just
this
stoned.
character, and it's great seeing
Kinda
more,
boring.
let's say, grounded level characters. Now, who isn't at the ground level is Mark and Oliver. Their training's pretty much the same from the book, with them clearly basing it off the panels. However, Mark isn't in costume in the comics. What this opens it up to in the show is Oliver and Mark getting some new threats. Realizing the O might be taken a certain way,
Bro.
they think it's best to downplay the Omni-Man
You
connection.
can't even call him a dick rider because that's literally his daddy. Like, of course he's gonna want to take after his father, but bro, that's like putting a swastika on your chest. You know what that nigga did?
In the show, he calls himself Kid Omni-Man, whereas in the book, he just says Omni-Boy. Kid Omni-Man is going to bring back bad memories though, and thus they want to avoid the connection. In the comics though,
how do you get over that? Mark,
he
a real kind soul.
He saw only the good side, which
your
for most
father
of
tried
Mark's
to
life is what he
assassinate
saw
you
as well. So Oliver can't quite wrap his head around the hate.
What?
And he once sees the suit to prove people wrong. Or then presents the black and blue costume, which Mark's gonna get black and blue in. In the show, he calls it a fresh start, whereas in the comics, he just hated the old one. In the comics, Mark hated the new one, and even remarked on it not having fingerless gloves. Here though, we see it's being brought across to the show, and it comes from the previous design. And the fight at the prison is pretty much the exact same. If you recognize the villains, it's also because this is who Mark fought when he tussled with Battle Beast at Machine Heads. So it ties in nicely with them bringing in Titan and the Order. Oliver then gets thrown in the deep end, and we see him getting badly beaten. It's a real test for him to start off with, and it sends Mark berserk. Great little action scene though, and in the comics we had Multiple in his cell saying he was wondering when the Order would rescue him. That's absent, but yeah, that's what's going on here. We then get another date with Paul and Debbie. In the comics, she doesn't tell him about her superpowered kids, and instead they just walk in while the pair are kissing. Green costume, they've just been on the news, so yeah, it's a little difficult to do it any other way. They do bring that to the show, but she confides in Paul beforehand. In the show though, she's clearly trying to find someone to trust in. Even though Paul's just a normal dude and doesn't really think he can live up to what Debbie expects, she does actually want a bit of normal. Who else wants this is also Eve's parents. Eve wants a relationship with them, but they're against her powers. It's clearly a metaphor for things like coming out, acceptance, and so on and so forth. Eve refuses to keep herself locked in a box of what they expect, and in return, she won't bring powers to the house. I love how the news also gets Mark's costume confused, and they think he's a brand new character. It does offer him a new way to distance himself though, and he might not be remembered for killing all those people with his dad.
Sorry, I'm still screenshotting this shit. It's like, golly, he just keep going.
Yay, what the hell is that, Kid Omni-Man? What are you talking about? Eve and Mark then sit on the roof, which again comes right out of the comics. It's a much shorter conversation there, with him being more upset with the Invincible name. Yeah, it's a lot more personal with him still feeling like a fake.
Are the government really that stupid? Not the government, but the news, bro. You see a nigga in the exact same physique, build, hair, and think he a clone or a newcomer, bro. The nigga clearly changed his costume. I guess that's not normal in superhero land.
Failure. Now, we also get a device in the tree watching them. Throughout the comics, they actually kept teasing this and would have him being spied on in multiple issues. It just made it a bit more impactful when we got our reveal with Levy at the end. There, they out and out showed it, whereas here they just teased it with the voice. It's difficult to not just out and out say that to him, because it's clearly his voice.
Like, bro, he got beat into a pile of blood. Nothing was left for you.
I'm actually surprised they try to hide it. It was kind of like Rhodey Secret Invasion, where they told you the week before he was a Skrull through that phone call. They then played it off like a big reveal, but we all knew, and I kind of feel like if I don't say it's Levy here, it's obvious, it's obvious. Anyway, we then go to another prison, which you might recognize as being where the Lizard League attacked. They say lightning never strikes twice, and we see how wrong that is. It leads into the Mauler escape, which is exactly the same as the comics. This includes them hijacking facility and so on and so forth. However, in the show, they show the fight with the Guardians, whereas there we join them already defeated. It's a great way to show how, due to the lack of members, how the Guardians are outmatched. I never really picked up on that in the comics, but here, they get easily beaten. It's probably the best action scene from the three.
I mean, they all sorry, because you lose a couple members, now you can't fight the twins, the Mauler twins. I thought y'all was, like, used to fighting them niggas.
The characters get beaten up. The scene then goes the news being watched by Debbie and Mark, which leads into him stepping in to help. He realizes that matters more than the red tape, and before Debbie even finishes talking, he's off to go and join them. Oliver also gets involved as well, which is a moment ripped right out the comics. The big difference here though is that Oliver's colder in the source material. Like, he shows up and absolutely decimates the Maulers. What it highlights is how dangerous he could be if he continues to have this disregard for life. In the comics,
it wasn't that, it was just like, how are you so comfortable killing? Because obviously he a Viltrumite. He gonna be able to kill a nigga pretty easily. But you too cool with it. Like, bro, you're 10. This shit not normal.
comics, they really play up about him not caring about humans. Like, there's none of him running away or crying. He's just very blunt and even makes Mark question his restraint. He even asks Mark if he ever wonders if Dad was right, and all Mark can do is say sometimes. They don't have that line in the show, and instead just have Mark standing there thinking. Also, kept cracking me up how the Maulers kept calling him Invincible. Now, one thing I love is how they juxtapose the rocket exploding with Oliver
wasn't that
exploding
a
through the Mauler's
nuke?
chest. Such a good way to demonstrate
Did you
it,
just
and we
punch
have
a
the
nuke and
Destroyer
it
of
didn't
Worlds with
kill
the
everybody?
Destroyer of Worlds. Oliver doing that's one of the most memorable parts of the comics, and though we can't show it because YouTube is like, literally last week, mate, showed some of Nosferatu for 1 second in a 50-minute video and got the whole thing demonetized, so we don't want to risk it. But yeah, it's a big moment.
that sounds like
Cecil
YouTube
also
to me.
arrives in the comics, and Mark sees him as trying to recruit his brother, clearly showing he can still kill people and be good, and it's something Mark's gonna have to learn. They then fly to the sky, and it brings things full circle from the opening. Mark once more berates him for helping, as it's not the way he wants him to be. Oliver crying though while flying feels like it plays off Omni-Man crying at the end of season 1. Basically, Mark needs to be better than his dad and make sure his brother doesn't follow the same path. Finally, he tries to reconcile with him and tells him
Why you ain't show the scene where Mark flew at freaking Mach 12 to catch this nigga? This little nigga fast as a bitch. He was really moving. He went from slow down Marky Mark to flying past this nigga. How did that happen?
of human life. Mark and Eve then go on a date which pulls from Invincible 53. There they go to the mountains, whereas here they keep things
Mark
at the house.
impressed
There
in the
they talk
comics.
about Oliver, and obviously there's the worry about what he could become. He's killed a second Mauler, even though he surrendered, and clearly this could cause conflict with the heroes. If they become afraid he can't control his powers, then that could cause a lot of issues. The scene with Oliver, Debbie, and Mark also doesn't happen in the work. In the book, it's just Oliver and Mark, but this helps to bring it all into perspective. In the work, they also add great detail about Oliver. Turns out he remembers every second of his life due to his lineage. The short lifespan meant they had to retain knowledge and skills and learn very quickly. Thus, they can
That would be crazy. Every second of your life, you never forget it. That's fire. That's actually a really useful superpower.
remember everything, which is an ability that Oliver possesses. Because of this, he remembers his father to a great degree, and this is why he wants to be just like him. Now, we then have a scene that doesn't happen until issue 56. Like I said, we get the teasers with Levy, and then this reveal happens in issue 51. However, he continues to spy, and it's at issue 56 where Mark notices the ball. This then explodes as he grabs it, and it leaves a lingering mystery. I've spoiled it though, after saying I wouldn't do spoilers. The channel's called Heavy Spoilers, mate, and Mark dies in the next episode. He dies.
No! What the fuck? What are you... Why would you do that? He's lying.
In the next episode. Nah, I'm just kidding, mate. He doesn't die, yeah? Don't leave. I hope you've watched this bit.
What?
And just left the video out. You come back next week thinking he's dead. But yeah, I'm guessing most of the people figured out that's Levy anyway, and you've watched the full video.
I mean, yeah, bro. Let's wrap up this reaction. I mean, that pretty much covered it. I just wanted to make sure I comprehended everything after, you know, binge watching the episodes. Clearly I did. I knew everything he was talking about, but it was still a good worth. It was worth the watch, you know. You could never know too much. I ain't never heard a nigga complain about knowing too much. Knowledge is essential. But hey, man, yay on a bender. I got niggas to argue with and videos to break down. So I'm gonna catch y'all next time. But before I do that, make sure y'all boy push that like button. Yeah, you thought I forgot about it. I ain't forget about shit. Hit the subscribe one too, and I'll catch y'all boys next time. Golly, I can talk for a really long time. I mean, I've been through that, but now y'all know that. And I'm all up in your ear with it. Yeah, do something about it.